What's up, guys? Welcome back to Three Average Joes. This is week 6 of our. I am joined by your temporary average Joe, Jeremy Koling,
Hey, I'm Average Joe, Jerry Koling.
and also average Joe, Paul Ulibarri today.
Permanent average Joe, Paul Ulibarri, apparently.
Oh, two Average Joe and one Average Sometimes Joe.
And one
New
full-time Joe.
Yep. Man, disc golf is awesome.
Just to clarify, today is Wednesday of Memorial Week. We are filming after day 1 here at Memorial Play. What have you guys been up to the last 10 days? I know we missed last week with the NT. You guys want to fill us in?
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. First NT of the year was in Las Vegas, Nevada. We got there. Well, I got there a couple days early. Got some good practice in. Started the tournament off. Started off pretty good. I think I was tied for third place and on the second card for second round, and jumped to the lead card for the third round, and then dropped to my average Joe, whatever card I was on, and then finished out in 8th place, which I was pretty happy with. It's not too bad to start the year off with a 8th place with a field that big, but all in all, good experience. It was super cold the whole week. I was definitely happy to get back here to Arizona. And then crazy thing about that week and this week is it's a 2-day break. So you get done with that tournament. You have basically 1 day of travel to get here, and then you have 1 day to practice for this tournament. Luckily, I'm one of the few who doesn't have to practice for the tournament because I live here. And we started the tournament off today. Started off really well. I think it was like 5 down through 7. Then caught a couple bad breaks and pumped the brakes a few times and kind of skid into the finish line with like a 6 under par or something. Not my best start to the Memorial and not very pleased with it, but it's a start. So I think I tee off at 12:37 tomorrow, Fiesta Lakes, and I haven't even looked at my card. I thought I'd be teeing off at like 7:30 a.m.
Well, speaking of 7:38 tee times, this is your Average Joe, Jeremy Koling speaking. Last 10 days, gosh, I feel like 10 days ago I was back home in North Carolina. And we're already, starting our second tournament here. It's pretty crazy. This start of this season, every season was Vegas and Memorial back to back. It's always slightly controversial, for me at least, especially when my touring partner misses his exit by 3 lanes because he's on his phone while driving. Shout out to Austin Turner from North Carolina, killing it in the driving department. It's crazy because the start is like, regardless of how much preparation you put in the off season, you're go from the very beginning. You are immediately 100% right in the middle of the tour from the very beginning, and you have no chance for a break. And for me, unfortunately, I did a NT clinic on Wednesday before the tournament started. And while throwing shots, I realized that because I guess I was in the dry desert air, my fingers weren't used to that dryness. And a really critical part of my throwing finger for my sidearms, my middle finger, cracked open. And since then, I've had a round every single day. And then I had the 2 days to practice 3 courses down here in Phoenix. And then round 1 was today. So, my finger hasn't had a chance to heal. And so, that's one of the issues that you have with this quick turnaround time with the 4 consecutive days in Las Vegas, 2 days to practice 3 courses in Phoenix, and then you got 4 straight days in Phoenix. So it's a lot of golf in a short period of time. And if you have something that's hurting, you don't have a chance to heal. So that's kind of an issue that I think the PDGA should address for these 2 events. Is I think that they, if logistically possible, they should switch the Vegas tournament to be Wednesday through Saturday, and they should make this one Thursday through Sunday. That way you actually get a little bit of practice time / healing. Our bodies aren't meant to go like this. We need a little bit of rest. So I'm already kind of looking forward to Saturday, where I'll have I'll be able to rest on Sunday and not play disc golf. And I don't know how you feel about that, Paul, but for me, the way that I'm geared, I need a little bit of a break between events. Just
No,
mentally.
absolutely. It's definitely a lot of golf, but to kind of go back on what you were saying about your injury, it seems like that's kind of going around. Everybody taking all that time off and then coming back from the off season, and like you said, then just ripping on that course, and it's dry climate and cold.
You're throwing a lot of hard shots.
Yeah, I know you split your finger, and I heard that I saw Ricky also has a cut, and Will's is really bad. I saw his. He's actually staying with me here, and
Macbeth on his thumb. I mean, tons of players have it. It's not that uncommon. It's just some people's are worse than others. It's just uncomfortable. No matter what you do, every time you throw, you're a little bit worried that your finger's not gonna be able to release at the right time. So it's just causing a little bit of doubt in my mind personally. I don't know how the other players are feeling about it, but for me, it's a little bit of.
Oh, I have lots of doubt in my mind for your finger.
Thank you, Paul. Yep. So, little insight to the listeners here. Paul calls me after the round to basically chit-chat, see how I'm doing. And he brings back an old expression. He said, they say you can't win a tournament on the first day, but you can certainly lose it. And I was like, that's true. And I was like, why do you bring that up? He's like, well, I feel like I definitely lost the tournament. I said, what'd you shoot? He said, I shot a 50. And I was like, you're 5 back of the lead. You have 3 more rounds to go. You've not shot yourself out of the tournament. He's like, oh, yeah, I guess that's true. What did you shoot? I said, I shot a 54. And he's like, oh, no, you definitely shot yourself out of the tournament. So my phone magically hung up. I don't know how it happened, but somehow the phone just got disconnected. It was weird. I don't know how it happened. But
That's strange.
so but going back to Vegas, it was a good tournament. Minus absolutely not East caliber at all. My biggest complaint about the Las Vegas tournament is that tee pads have got to be addressed. There's no standardization right now for the national tour, and it looks bad for the tournament and the PDGA when people are slipping and sliding on tee pads, in my opinion. But that's one small thing. The other thing is, I just think that they're trying to make courses longer than they need to. Other than that, I think the courses were actually pretty good. To design 3 courses is difficult. To make every single hole the right distance and the right amount of difficulty and the right amount of, all the things that you want to have in a disc golf hole for design elements. I think they did a pretty good job. The tournament ran pretty smoothly, but we got to get tee pads that are standardized because it's a really big fear of mine that somebody's going to go for a run-up and they're going to slide and their knee's going to buckle in and they're going to end their career, or at least that season, with a really bad knee injury. I feel it as I get older. My body is, taking bigger aches and pains, when I mess up. If I hit a pebble on a tee pad because it's literally just a tee pad of pebbles and I slide and I hurt myself, I'm going to be pretty upset if it ends up shortening my career because of it. So it frightens me that it's going to happen to somebody else or me, So other than that, I think the tournament ran really well. I didn't finish as well as I'd like to. I had one bad mistake that cost me 3 strokes, and that was the difference between 5th place and 11th place. And I started off pretty bad at Memorial, so I'm kind of feeling like a chump right now. But I know I'm going to bounce back. I'm not the kind of person that lets these things get himself down on it. So,
what's the biggest deficit you've ever come back from?
For a good finish or for a win?
For a win, like to come back and win the tournament.
Typically I don't win too many tournaments coming from like a large amount of strokes behind. I know that one time I had a 9-stroke lead over Ricky with 18 holes ago, and he beat me, so that sucked.
Yeah, but you.
Yeah, we're talking about me winning. I won one time from second card, and I was like 6 or 7 back, but it was a 27-hole round.
I'm saying like first round you're down. Have you ever had like a significant comeback?
Certainly never on like national tour. Like
A-tier national tour level, something like that.
I'd say no more than like 5 to 7 strokes. I can't really recall like one that stands out in my mind. What about you?
So you definitely lost the Memorial then.
Oh, I lost Memorial. I lost next year's Memorial because of this first round. It was bad.
Oh man, I believe in you, dude. 8 strokes ain't that much, man. Really.
It's 9 strokes.
Oh God, yeah, you're done.
Yeah, I'm not. Hey, but like honestly, the thing is, at this point, winning the tournament isn't what's on my mind, and you know that. Like when you get in a position where you feel like you're out of where you want to be, it's not about winning the tournament. That's not about it at all. It's about going out there with fire and actually proving to yourself that you can fight back. Because I did this to myself last week in Vegas. I was 8 strokes back, I believe, of Ricky after the first round. And when you're 8 strokes back of somebody who's playing as well as Ricky is, you're not thinking to yourself, "Oh, I'm going to catch those 8 strokes because there's 3 rounds left." You're thinking to yourself, "I better play some good golf so I can finish well." And I did.
When can I get the next plane flight home? That's what I think
right.
about.
Yeah, basically. So, I fired off two hot rounds after that. And those 2 hot rounds allowed me to catch 0 strokes on Ricky. But it did allow me to go from I went from 38th place after the first round to 8th place second round, and then I went from 8th place to 5th place going into the last round. So, that's basically my goal now, is to finish with a top 10 finish. I haven't even looked at the scores. I have no idea how far back I am. I don't know how cold it's going to be when I tee off in the morning. I just know that I screwed up today, but you know what? Sulk as much as I want to is not going to change anything about my scores today. It's just not the start I wanted. The conditions were too good to put up a number like that. And it definitely hurts even more that I finished with a 5 on hole 18. I actually could have salvaged a somewhat decently respectable round with a birdie in the last hole. If I would come in with a 51, I wouldn't be happy, but at the same time, I can't really hang my head too low. But a 54 really hurts, and that course is out there to be shredded, and just not what I wanted today.
Nobody really shredded it today. I think 45 was the best, and typically
in those conditions,
Memorial
42,
like 40, 42, 43, 41. Of course, 39 from Macbeth that one year.
Yep, 2013.
So we're actually pretty lucky that 9's the best, even though it's like 10 people shot 9, so it's basically the same thing as one person shooting 41. I feel like, because 9 people aren't gonna just crap the bed,
If conditions are like that on Saturday, you're gonna see a 42.
Absolutely.
Easily. That's just how tournaments start. It's like everyone kind of gets their bearings, and some people start off hotter than others, but like the second time you play a course like that, you're going to see scores. People are going to figure out what the best disc is for each shot, and they're going to make better decisions next time around. And I'm
Brady,
looking.
What C-tier national tour did you play in this weekend, or NTC tier?
I have not played disc golf in a few weeks. I'm just getting some mental practice in, really. Just like
That's a very average Joe answer.
working on my mental really, like how the putt would go in if I were doing it, and just getting some wind reads in my head as I'm driving and stuff like that has been really key for me.
Well, you're driving your car, not driving a disc.
Yeah, no, my car.
Hey,
I don't play disc golf.
Your fingers out the window, you're just driving down.
I do.
Looks like it's northeast wind and going about 7 knots.
All right, Brady. I do have a actual question though for you. From an outside perspective, like you're not playing, you're at home. It's probably 2 degrees or whatever. Watching the play, I guess, to start the season. What's your perspective? Like, what are you thinking? Are you just thinking like the normal, like, oh yeah, Ricky's gonna win every tournament, or like what's going through your mind with all these players, and anything standing out that's surprising to you, or?
I guess I'll be honest. I've watched maybe a minute of disc golf so far this year. I actually watched Germ and you a little bit on Facebook Live from Jimmy Mack, but I was watching the broadcast today, and I think I watched those guys play 8 and 9, the 2 peninsula holes. That's all I've watched so far this year. But it just, from what I've seen with scoring and what I've seen online and talking with other pros, it really seems like Ricky is on another level. And then the next 2 to 10, it seems it's kind of anybody's game. Just from what I've seen right so far for the first 3 events, I guess. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 through 10 was right there with Ricky, but I'm always kind of expecting Ricky to be up there. Just like, I guess that's not really a new perspective, but that's just kind of in the chatter that there's been a shift that Ricky is the man right now.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say if I don't make the 5-stroke comeback that everybody knows I'm probably gonna do, because my putter is so hot right now. 84% in the circle today. Pretty good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if that doesn't happen, I think that Eagle McMahon or Nate Sexton is going to win the tournament.
I played with Nate Sexton today, and the guy made probably 5 putts outside the circle, maybe 4. No less than 4. And he was throwing the disc very controlled, where it looked like I was kind of maybe trying a little bit harder to catch up. He was very comfortable, and clearly he put himself in this position last year. And, one of the things that happens as you get more experienced and you know your game better is that you learn from mistakes. And, he's been in position to win bigger tournaments in the past, and he's made some small mistakes. And I think he's going to learn from that. And I'm pulling big time for Nate Sexton. You cannot play disc golf with a better person. And even when I was struggling today, he was still coming over to me, and he knew that we could make light of conversation and still have a good time. And I really appreciate that about him. So he also made one of the dirtiest Anheuser 60-foot throw-in putts, hole 10, with a bush directly in front of the basket. He had to throw it around and over, and he air bounced, whipped it in there. It was disgusting. And it was just one of like I said, 4 or 5 putts he made from outside the circle. He was playing really, really well.
Yeah, and that's the reason that I'm I want to pick him, is also the weather is supposed to be perfect, and there's supposed to be 0 wind. And I always think when it gets a little windy that Sexton's putter it's not as hot as when it's nice and calm, but he's a filthy putter when it's perfect conditions out. I always notice that when it's good conditions, the guy doesn't miss. He's just as good with the putter, in the circle and outside the circle as Macbeth and Ricky sometimes. But that's only when it's nice and calm, and that's the way it was today. So I'm not surprised that he played that well.
I support your Uli picks. Clearly, if I had to pick 4 players, I know it seems pretty obvious now in hindsight, but I would have to pick Sexton, McMahon, Macbeth, and Wysocki to finish right there. 4 out of the top 5 for sure. I don't see them going anywhere besides up. So
Yeah.
That fifth spot is going to be filled by Austin Turner, we'll say.
I picked Austin in my Uli picks this week. He's kind of flailing.
Yeah, he's kind of pissing a lot of people off. I'm just kidding. He's with me in the car right now. Say hi, Austin.
Yeah, what did he shoot? Did he shoot a 51 or something?
51.
Yeah, shot 51.
That's such a rookie score.
It's a rookie score. But until we change the name of the show to Two Pros, Average Joe, and a Dumb Rookie, we can't really have him talk that much.
And a dumb rookie.
Guys,
Be you.
That
He keeps
might
reminding
be
me
the best
that
name of a show I've ever heard in my whole life. Two Pros, Average Joe, and a really dumb rookie.
I know
He
you
just
guys.
so badly wants to lash out right now. I know. I feel for him.
Graham, I know you guys were talking about the tee pads at the GVCC. Why has the PDGA not just invested in some portable turf or rubber tee pads? I mean, those look that's terrible. That falls upon the TD and the PDGA because the PDGA has put their name with the National Tour.
They can't be responsible to get from event to event and check all these things in time. I mean, it costs a lot of money to get places a week early. You got hotel costs. You got all these things that they got to deal with. And you got to realize that who's paying for that? The PDGA members are. So they have to
PDGA
trust
has,
that.
Yeah, don't get it.
Well, this is just the logistics behind it. Is that to be able to get to a place and say yes, you can do this, or no, you can't do that. It takes more time, more effort, more people, more money. And
isn't Michael Downs' job to go and check courses beforehand to make sure they're compliant? I mean, how could he?
He does. He goes out and he checks them, but
and then
the TD sends in a report before the tournament starts and gets the okay for certain rules. And then once Mike Downs gets there, he goes and checks all the.
Mike Downs does a great job. He goes around taking notes. He's asking players, "Do you see anything wrong?" Mike Downs couldn't do a better job doing what he's doing. It's just it comes down to the club. And then the thing is it sucks because there's only so much he can do, and if he could do more, he would.
He needs to be able to tell them, "We're not doing this tournament until you meet these standards." Because didn't one of those tee pads have rubber that was different lengths than the other side of the tee pad? Like it was a shorty little one and then a bigger one next to it.
Brady,
dude, there was one hole where you could have literally played mini golf because there was a mini golf hole on the tee pad.
Oh my god!
That went up and down, and then into an actual I don't even know, man. Just picture the worst thing ever. That's where we teed off.
I always love teeing off on natural grass tee pads, and they had plenty of space to do that. Now, I know that you tear up the grass when you do that, and so it becomes a problem, especially on a golf course. But, it's better than teeing off from little gravel pits where it's little tiny rocks on hard-packed ground. All that does is you just stand on it and you slide. And then on top of that, they're not even level. They're lumpy, like Paul's saying. There's just holes in the ground, and you can't get a run-up. And, for some players that are less demanding for their footwork, that's not a problem. But that's exactly the issue. Tee pads should be fair for every single player that plays on them. It's a tee pad. It's the one spot that you're guaranteed to be in a good position. You shouldn't be dealing with something that other people aren't dealing with because of the way they throw. Some people are going to say, make adjustments. That's not fair. It's a tee pad. It should be flat. It should be hard, and it should have good traction so we can actually run up and throw. If you're going to have a 560-foot par 3 and you're going to have a tee pad that doesn't support somebody running up full speed, planting, twisting, and rotating a hard, aggressive throw, then what are you expecting us to do? I can't stand still and deliver 560 feet to try to achieve a birdie. You have to be able to.
hole 2 at that course had a huge backup, and there was a big bush everybody was throwing into. Everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, the bush!" Everybody keeps throwing in the bush, and I'm like,
Look at the tee pad.
Mike, you know why they're throwing in the bush, right? And I'm like, this isn't a hard hole. It's the tee pad. Like, you can't run up and then throw an actual shot. Like, you're literally.
The tee pad is a cart path, but it's a sideways cart path. You're not running up the cart path itself. You're going from the side, so you have about a 4-inch jump. Then there's a carpet mat on the other side of the tee pad that you start from.
Yeah, the mini golf hole.
And the mini golf, basically imagine like a golf tee pad square. You start on that, you jump up onto the short tee pad, and then it's slick. And then it's drop off of it, so that if your foot does slide off of it, you could roll your ankle, you could crack your knee. There's so many things you could do. And anyways, basically all it comes down to is
and then they're like, yeah, it's the bush. The bush is the backup. I'm like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, okay, man. I just did a ballerina move to throw the disc, and you're telling me that it's the fucking bush. Oh, let's bleep that out.
Yeah.
PDGA drops the ball on the stupidest things. The GCC or whatever it's called should not be allowed to be. They should be suspended. That should be a suspension of the NT coming back there until they can meet the requirements, because that's a joke. What a joke. Everyone's complaining about live broadcast. We can't even have correct tee pads, like, for player safety, and I mean that messes with the quality of play as well. That's the stuff that the PDGA does that just frustrates the hell out of me.
Well, just to be fair, I'm not trying to dog on the Las Vegas event, because, like I said, I think they did run an overall really quality event. There's so many things that you can notice that didn't go well, but there's so many more things that did go well that you never really take mention of and notice and give them credit for.
Yeah, like the backups, like finishing in the dark, like all that stuff. I mean,
there were tons of things that didn't go well. I think you're absolutely right. There's tons of things that didn't go well. It's the first national tour of Las Vegas, and I'm not trying to give them a break there, because they've run plenty of large events. Basically, they've basically been a national tour as long as I've been playing the tournament for the last 8 years. It's basically
this year was the worst it's ever been ran.
That's ridiculous.
It's absolutely 100% the worst that I've ever seen the tournament, and I've been playing there longer than you.
Yeah, and that's fair. I just don't want it to be a let's bash on this tournament, because you know what, I've helped run tournaments, but I've never been a TD myself, so there's only so much that I can say before somebody steps in and gives me the response, well, how many tournaments have you run? And I can't 100% relate to all the headaches that come up with running an event. I know that you just cover all the bases.
Yeah, but it's not the way the tournament ran that was the problem. The tournament ran great. The staff was great. The spotters were great. All that stuff was good. It was the preparation that was not good.
Right.
And that's the stuff, and that's my point. I'm not bashing the tournament either. Of course, they always run a great tournament. They always have the money to pay at the end. They always have spotters and everything in place, and the rules, and the caddy book was awesome, and so many things. The lines were painted, painted lines everywhere, like everything. They had a place for us to warm up, which is one of my biggest things that I love. Like right 200 feet from almost every tee, you could go warm up, and it was great. All that stuff ran great. It was the preparation before that it wasn't ready. It wasn't ready.
Yeah. To overlook getting fly pads or some sort of something that creates a better teeing area is a huge oversight. And all we can do is just hope that not only Las Vegas learns from it, but future course designers or / tournament directors will take note of how big of an issue that is. And they will do as much as they can to make sure that they have the best suited teeing areas for players. It's not just about being able to throw quality shots. It's about safety. And first and foremost, above all else, when you design a course and you run a tournament, you need to focus on safety. That's the number one, first and foremost thing. That's why we don't have crossing holes besides De La Viega. It's the only course where we play where there's crossing holes. It's the same reason why we're trying not to throw over parking lots or over over sidewalks. You try to implement these things so people aren't getting hit by discs. But just as important is making sure that we're designing tee pads that allow players to support their weight without buckling their knees under. Because, like I said, as soon as this happens, as soon as somebody really, really gets hurt, it's going to be an extremely sad story. And it's going to be really bad. And it's going to look terrible for the event. It's going to look terrible for the PDGA. Even if the PDGA isn't responsible for it, they're going to have to take responsibility for it because they gave that tournament the okay. And so something needs to be done.
I'm just waiting for the day that the PDGA starts putting its foot down and enforcing the rules that it's set for the tournament. By just saying, hey, you have to meet this standard, or we're not going to be an NT next year. We're not giving you the money and the support and those things. Like, if that start happening,
they do that, but they don't enforce it to a T. They do that for smaller events. They do it specifically for tournament directors who don't follow guidelines, but they don't necessarily do it for, like, we're not going to allow you to run a tournament again next year if for small things.
And there's another thing I want to discuss too. Everybody can say what they want and have their opinions, but the course design over there wasn't good. It wasn't good. The course design at the Las Vegas tournament, it was not good for the property that they had. But I'll go out there and say it. It was not good. And it's not because of the shots that you had to throw and stuff like that, but one day we finished in the dark.
Yeah.
I literally finished in the dark.
Yeah, it was
because there was 5
about
to 7 group backup. Yeah. 3 times there was a 5 to 7 group backup on 3 different holes in the same exact round.
And I'll tell you why that happens. When you design tweener holes, that's what happens. When you design holes that people can almost reach but not quite, you have to wait for them to finish this hole while other people are taking 5 or 6 strokes to finish the hole. Some people are trying to go for the green, and what ends up happening is you have to wait 15 minutes for this group to play a hole. That's why we don't design tweener holes. A par 3 or a par 4, and you have flow.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are trying to make these eagleable par 4s that are 600 to 500 and something feet. And guess what? That's what everybody throws these days. Every single person, I feel like, throws over 500 feet. And if you make a 600-foot hole, this guy's going to try to throw it 520 foot and get an 80-footer. That's just what's going to happen. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
That's okay to have one hole like that in a round, or 2 holes, one on the front, one on the back. But this place had, what, 4, 5, 6?
5 or 6 holes that were between 530 to 570 feet. And they were just all – you can't tee off until the group in front of you finishes off. And this is like a par – this is basically a modern – this is an average Joe par 4 all day. Only pros – top pros could consider these par 3s, and even then, there's still par 3s that feel
right.
like
You're talking about like 5 people, let's say 10 people on the planet that could birdie it 1 time out of 5 times.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, you can't design holes like that. That's for sure. That was one of my biggest complaints, but I didn't want to talk about course design because we could talk all day about that one.
All right. So it sounds like they did a lot of good things, and hopefully, people keep learning from mistakes that people make, and we keep evolving. But it sounds like that event was trending in at least a decent direction as far as sponsorship and scaling what they're doing. But it sounds like they have some preparation things and such. What are you guys' take on the new PDGA executive director? I forget his name, but they announced him today.
Sharbuloff, I believe, was his name.
Yes.
I read about him this morning. He seems to have a very impressive resume, and I'm excited to meet him and discuss and kind of feel his excitement towards his new position. And I know I've been talking to a lot of people on the PDGA board, Elaine King and I've been talking to oh my gosh, Marty and oh my gosh. Anyways, I've been talking to a good number of people who are in the inside, and they have all been just extremely proud and excited about their the people that were interviewing for the job. When it came down to the final 4 interviews, they knew they couldn't make a bad decision because the 4 people they had were all extremely impressive. And I trust that they made a really good decision, and I'm excited for the direction of the sport, honestly. You know, I'm feeding off their excitement right now with the guy. So until I meet him, I can't say anything about him personally. He just seems to have an impressive resume, and I think disc golf's a pretty exciting time right now. So we'll see where he takes it.
Sure. Paul, any thoughts?
No, same thoughts. I saw his resume, and it's very impressive, and I would like to hope that the PDGA would make a great decision in selecting him, and I obviously we all trust them and trust their judgment, and I have no doubt that he's going to do a great job. And like Jerm said, I'm excited to meet him and pick his brain a little bit, and hopefully he can get off to a fast start and feel real comfortable with his new position, and get in the driver's seat and kind of steer us in the right direction for sure.
Make disc golf great again, you know?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I hope he doesn't make as many executive orders as some other idiot.
Watch what you're saying. You're going to get a tweet about you in about 7 hours while he's taking a shit.
You know what? Donald Trump probably is listening right now. He's probably listening to this podcast right now. He's such a little
Guarantee
twit.
it.
God, he's an idiot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you're a fan and you don't agree with me, but
Don't go political.
yeah, here's the deal. If you don't agree with me, then you're wrong and you're dumb. I'm just kidding. I'm just saying. I'm just kidding. But we all know it's true.
A lot of North Carolina folks, Jerm.
Yeah, well, the ones that I really care about are the ones that agree with me.
Oh, boy.
Just kidding. Oh man. You know what? If you don't agree with me, then we disagree.
How is the switch going plastic-wise, Jerm? I know it's a big change. Are you struggling at all? I know you're probably not going to.
Yeah, well, my struggle is just not committing to shots that I know I should be throwing. I can't say that like the adjustments that I'm making are that I'm realizing that my destroyers are a lot farther flying than my D1s. So the same amount of torque that I was putting on my D1s, I've got to back down a little bit on my destroyers. And it's hard to really commit to that every time. And I'm also not quite 100% on what angles I need to be throwing my race at certain angles and speeds. And so it just comes out with a lot of, like, my drives have been pretty good in all my practice rounds. I guess my biggest shortcoming has just been not trusting my shot 100% just because it's still new. That stuff, you can go to the field as much as you want, and I think that you can learn a lot from the field. But honestly, I believe, for myself at least, that the best experience is just going to be the experience that I get in tournament situations and learning from mistakes. And so I think that's kind of where I am right now. Is I'm just trying to really feel out my bag. And I mean, my bag has been switching daily. I've been throwing a new disc in, throwing something in the water, finding something else to replace it with, And so it's been a constant evolution. Like, I filmed it in the bag before my tournament started in Las Vegas, and I think half of the bag is pretty much switched out.
I just got a stock order of Innova in for the first time in quite a while, and I noticed that the star plastic felt a little softer than usual. Or did you find that, or did I just have like a weird batch?
Some of the destroyers are a little bit softer, but I'm throwing. I have a bunch I have a bunch of older SCSs right now that I'm throwing, and so, but I've noticed that, and yeah, I mean, sometimes they come out a little bit softer. You know, I mean, you know how plastics are. Sometimes you make great runs, and sometimes you make runs that aren't to your liking, but somebody else likes it. It's not like they're just going to sit on the shelves and not sell.
No, absolutely. I just had noticed a softer destroyer run. So versus their first Paul Macbeths I seen were really hard and overstable, but these seem a little gummier. So
yeah.
Paul, what you? The Prodigy got any new discs coming on the pipeline? You throw anything new? Bag staying the same? What's up, man?
The bag's pretty much the same. I threw in a 350 A2, and I'm really loving that. But no, my bag's pretty much the same. I found something that I really like to throw, and I've just been working with those. And no, the bag's good, man. I'm super confident in what I'm throwing.
What about those
throws? What's up?
What about those 400G D2s? Heard you got a stockpile of those the other day.
Yeah, the best disc as far as driver that Prodigy probably has ever made is those D2s for sure.
How'd you get your hands on
those? Another average Joe, gave me a few of them.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty good guy. Sounds like a guy that cares about you and your feelings.
Were you guys touching each other's discs? Sorry.
Paul's like, I got a gift for you. He gives me a dog toy destroyer that's been chewed up all over the rim.
I did. I told him I threw it. I'm like, hey man, I'm throwing this.
I gave him the best feeling D1 ever that has his wife's stamp on it. And then I've got 5 unthrown 400G blue D2s. But, basically the same thing.
I did give you a nice Firebird for Christmas.
That is true. The story behind that one's really funny, actually. You want to tell that one?
No, I don't.
All right, well, I'll tell it real quick from my understanding. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I received in the mail, unbeknownst to me, a Star Team Champ Firebird, flat top, beautiful, very stiff, like the exact run that I like to throw for thumbers. Have no idea, has no return address. No, it does have a return address. The return address is Prodigy's address in Georgia. What the hell is going on with this? So, I say nothing. I'm like, all right, somebody just sent me a disc and sent a phony return address. And then I find out about a week later, maybe 2 weeks later, that the Star Team disc was sent to me. It's actually the 2012 Star Team when they had like Anthon and Paul Ulibarri, Ricky Wysocki, and you name it. There's like a 20-person Star Team. And the reason I received this disc was because Paul bought it from somebody anonymously and had him send it to me anonymously. And the point of it was because Paul was on the Star Team before I was back in 2012, and I was supposed to just figure that out. that was the point of sending me the disc. It was Paul saying, haha, I was on the Star Team before you were.
And you were getting a good disc.
Okay, so everything I said there was true, but also I was getting a good disc.
Yeah, the disc is awesome. I had one of those in my bag when I was on Team Star before you.
Oh my God!
It flew so good.
Look, just to any of the 6 listeners that haven't left yet, these are the kind of friends you develop on tour. Never go on tour, ever. Don't do it. It's not what you think it is. It's terrible. Oh no, I love that disc, and that hopefully I won't need to throw it because I hopefully don't lose my my Firebirds anytime soon. But another round like today, who knows? I might go in the bag tomorrow.
Aren't you throwing one more thing? Aren't you throwing the Pro Boss? Could you give the listeners a little insight of of the Pro Boss that you're throwing?
As a matter of fact, I am throwing the Pro Boss. The one that I was throwing all last week, 75 to 100 feet further than you, and every time I threw it, accidentally got thrown into the water when I slipped on one of the T-pads at Vista yesterday. So unfortunately, that one that I was out driving you by upwards of 200 feet almost is in the water. However, I do have 3 backups for that one, and I will put it in the bag whenever I need to.
Actually, I think you lost it on a hole in Vegas, or was that just a backup?
Oh, I threw it in the water, but I got it back.
Oh, okay.
Another slip on a T-pad, but, you know.
All right, man.
It sounds like excuses at this point, but, yeah. When I slip on T-pads, really bad things happen.
I actually slipped on a T-pad today and, like, kind of threw my lower back out.
If you are out there and you're doubting the Pro Boss, then if you're going to be like Ricky Wysocki or Paul Ulibarri and make fun of me for throwing that disc, then you have a low disc golf IQ. Go get one of those
No,
things.
guys.
Try 'em out.
Okay, I'm going to give you guys a visual. Okay.
Oh my. Oh God.
540 feet.
Yep.
430 to clear the water. Pressure's on. Lead card, gallery everywhere. Jeremy Koling. Pro Boss. Basically does a tomahawk into the water.
I'll give you guys another visual.
I guarantee you won't ever throw a Pro Boss on a hole like that ever again.
Yeah, absolutely I will. Absolutely I will. Absolutely.
No
Picture
way.
this. Picture this. 3 times in a row in practice on that hole. Put it within the circle every time. Don't slip one time on those T-pads. And then tournament time, flip. That's not a good visual, but that's just the way it was.
Nice
Here's
visual.
that disc goes further than anything else. Whatever, dude. You know what? Throw whatever you're throwing. I hope you have fun playing disc golf. I do sometimes. But I throw the Pro Boss, and it goes really far.
He does
You
throw it
should try.
really far. I just like to give him some crap because it's a funny disc for a super pro to throw.
And the reason is because the disc hits a tree hard, and you might not ever throw it the same way ever again. However, I have a couple of really good ones that I felt in the factory. Henry Chill just hooked me up with them, and they're really overstable. So, like, I can actually throw them pretty hard. And the way that the Pro Plastic flies, for some reason, instead of, like, wanting to hook up, like most wide rim drivers do towards the end of their flight, the Pro Boss seems to just go, like, on the second and third gear where it just keeps pushing forward and forward and forward. And it's really, really fast.
Stupid Pro Boss. Jesus.
What's that?
Pro Boss talk is over. It's done.
Oh, deal.
It's done with.
Thanks. I didn't even mean to bring it up.
You opened a way too big can of worms for him. That's like a 20-minute conversation. We don't have time for that, Paul.
I was just trying to get to the point where he was like, okay, pressure's on, roll the wrist, right in the water.
Shut up.
Will you do a Jerm, will you do an endorsement video like Ricky Bobby did at the end of Talladega Nights where he's like, if you don't chew Big Red, screw you? Will you do Pro Boss another like groove? If you don't flick the groove.
Jim, how did you take a 5 on 18? Just like
You
not
throw
for the
forehand.
podcast, but I was just
Is there any
exactly.
chance we can talk about something else?
No, I'm serious. Like this isn't for our podcast. I'm just wondering. You said you took a 5, right?
I took a 5 on hole 18. On the tee pad, I said, I'm going to go for a birdie here, and I'm going to finish with a 51, and I'm going to go home, and I'm going to learn from my mistakes, and I'm going to do better next time. And then
Did you throw a backhand?
I threw a sidearm with a gummy destroyer.
Pro Boss. Pro Boss. Please tell me you threw Pro Boss.
With a Star Destroyer, and I flicked it almost roller line Anheuser straight down to the water. And I got about 80 feet to go up to the water. I threw from there standstill because it's like a downhill slope to the bird water. And so I threw it from there to about 50 feet short, and then I airballed my putt, and then I made a miraculous tap in from about 20 feet from my 5.
I'm sorry, man.
This show sucks. I hate you.
No, I want to tell you something though. For that hole next time, just throw the hyzer backhand. There's no OB up there anymore. There isn't.
You know what? I tried doing that in practice, and the tee pads were so bad. Which, honestly, God, I think the tee pads at Fountain Hills, when they're bad, are the worst tee pads in the game. And when it's dry, the tee pads are fine. But if there's any sort of moisture on the ground whatsoever, like the ladies had to deal with this morning with the wet grass and the dew, when you track those on those tee pads, it is the slickest teeing surface all year on tour.
Okay, so what? So you weren't comfortable with the hyzer? Got it.
Yeah, I threw one practice shot. I slipped. I almost threw it straight up into the fountain. Which, for anyone who's never been to the fountain, that's about
It's backwards.
It's about backwards and left. It's about 270 degrees off of what you want to be throwing.
Jerm, do you think if we gave you like one word, you could talk for a solid hour about a few different stories with just like one word?
What's the word?
Well, I'm not going to do it now because we're already pretty much done and everyone's done listening to us. But maybe next time we could just like fire you off with potatoes or something.
I understand that, but the word is potatoes?
Yeah. Do you think you could talk an hour with stories about that and just build from there?
I could give you a good 15-minute story right now about potatoes.
Please don't. I hope you guys finish out well this weekend. I'm running a tournament on Saturday, and I will not be playing ever again. Paul, good luck. Jerm, good luck. Thank you for turning in. Do you guys have anything else to add?
No, just make sure you bleep out. I think I dropped an F-bomb in there one time. Bleep that out.
Follow me on Instagram, Big Germ DG. Germ is spelled with a J. DG is spelled with a DG.
Follow Big Germ at rproboss.easyflipper.com.
Follow me at Jeremy Koling at playitagainstsports.com.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, follow me or don't. Either way, I'll be there. And I'll have posts, and I'll be able to talk
follow
for an
me
hour.
too. One Uli. Boom. Instagram.
And follow Austin Turner at white_Dwight on Instagram. That's white_Dwight. Think of the white skin-colored Dwight Howard, I think, is the inspiration behind that.
You can follow me.
Also, hashtag dumb rookie. Hashtag 2 average Joes and a pro and 1 dumb rookie.
Chase, our producer will link my social media. It's Brady at pennisland.com. Just check that out.
Wow. Thanks.
All right. Cool.
Thanks for that.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you made it this far, I'll sign your disc when I see you. That was
perfect.